Hi there, I'm Michelle Earnest, and I'm coming to you from Nashua, New Hampshire in the USA. And it's almost spring here in New Hampshire, but you wouldn't know it by looking out the door most days because it's anywhere from being 50 degrees and 25 degrees. So this is typical for New England and I'm enjoying it. And I hope that wherever you are, spring is coming in a way that's meaningful for you. So I am delighted to have the opportunity to share some insights and some teachings with you from the work of Donna Eden and the Eden method. Some of you may recognize me if you came through the Eden Energy Medicine program, certification program in the last few years, but to many of you, I might be a new face. So let me introduce myself. For 5 years, I had the lovely privilege of running the Eden Energy Medicine certification program, which is Donna's 4-year program of practitioner and teacher training. I retired from that in early 2019, and now I teach at all levels of the program as an advanced practitioner and faculty member. And like many of our teachers, I also wear other hats as well. So I'm also a board certified nurse practitioner and a hospital and hospice chaplain. My blend of energy work focuses on weaving energy work with spirituality. So looking at ourselves as multi-dimensional beings who exist on the physical, energetic, and spiritual planes all at the same time. So I have a little different take on how I look at the world and how I do my energy work and how I bring all of those things together. And that will probably be reflected today as we go into some of the techniques and things that we're going to talk about. So I've been studying Donna's work since about 2007 when I had a health challenge of my own. And like many of you, you may have become interested in Eden Energy Medicine because you had a health challenge and you were looking for something that would really help you. And of course it did. It helped me enormously. And it made such a huge impression on me that I went on to do all of the practitioner training and all of the teaching training, and eventually left my practice as a nurse practitioner back in 2010 and really started to focus on bridging between conventional medicine and complementary medicine. So to that end, I teach, I go to professional nursing conferences and present information about energy work in ways that they can understand it, and also see clients. So I have a really varied practice and I just love it. So being here in New England and talking to you today, even though we're in the midst of these challenging times, it's still such a privilege and a delight to be able to do that. Because I know that we're all experiencing what we're going through in different ways right now. And the social isolating that they're calling it, or compassionate spacing, as I prefer to refer to it. Yes, we have to stay away from each other, and yes, that's really important, but to be able to connect with each other through vehicles like Zoom or Facebook, these are wonderful opportunities to remind ourselves that while we may be physically apart, we can never be far apart from each other in energetically. So being able to see you, you being able to see me, being able to listen to each other, to support each other, that's such an important thing all the time, but even more so right now because of all of the trauma that's out there in the world and all the experiences that we're having. So I really want to thank you for tuning in today, for coming here to listen to me, to experience some of the energy work that we're going to do together, and for drawing together to be a support to each other. Because every time we come together like this, all of our energies feed together, and we're contributing to that really high vibration that we're trying to put out into the world. And one of my favorite teachers says that one who is connected to that stream of energy is more powerful than millions that aren't. So to me, all of us coming together in this Eden Energy Medicine work and support and listening to this, there's nothing more powerful than that. And we're doing our own part in our own way with this collective energy to really help shape the vibration of the earth. So thank you again for being here. So let's talk a little bit about what's been going on here with these Facebook Live teachings, which are wonderful. I've been watching the wonderful teachers that have been contributing and sharing their skills. And of course, I'm so impressed with the level of knowledge that they have and the techniques that they've shared. And I've learned something from every one of them. Now, many of them I know because they're faculty members, and I've worked with them when I was the director of the program, and I also see them occasionally now. Many of them are teachers I haven't met, or maybe I saw them going through the certification program. So it's really delightful for me to watch everyone. And I really hope that you're tuning in to watch these people, and that you're going back if you missed part of it on YouTube to be able to pick up some of their work, because it's really an Aladdin's cave of wonderful information to share. That was Madison's phrase, I think, but I'm going to borrow it. So it's a great opportunity to really get some depth work on Eden energy medicine from the perspective of different practitioners. So here we go. As I was thinking about what I wanted to share with you, I reflected on the focus of what everybody has been teaching. Since this is a very challenging time, we're all focusing on things that like strengthen our immune systems or deal with our emotions, things that help us cope with everyday life, because right now our life is anything but ordinary, right? Life is completely different than it was just a few weeks ago. And that can be hard to sort of take in. And that can cause a lot of overwhelming emotions. And that's the thread that I hear in everybody that I hear talking, everybody that I hear teaching, is this thread of overwhelm. Overwhelm just makes everything harder to deal with. What we're dealing with now is affecting us on so many different levels. Emotionally, physically, energetically, spiritually, causing us to call into question what we thought was normal and real and what we could depend on. And so because of that, our energy systems are reacting in ways that we may not be familiar with or normal with. You know, maybe you don't usually have issues with anxiety or fear, but now you are. And that can be a different experience for you. So I want to just mention that if you're feeling those things, to not be hard on yourself, to kind of just understand that this is part of the experience that you're having, and to give yourself a little grace and a little time to be in the presence of these and still be okay. And we're going to talk about how you do that today. You know, if I were to energy test any of you right now, I would probably find some degree of imbalance in your energies. That doesn't mean that you're not practicing the techniques or that you have anything wrong with you. It just means that your body is trying to adjust constantly to what's going on in the world, and that affects your vibration. And because of that, something in your body is always trying to adapt. And when that happens, some systems can go out, and you can get some patterns of imbalance flowing through your body and the energy systems. Stress does a lot of jumbling of the energies, and it makes it more difficult for us to cope, to stay healthy, and even to recover from illness. So I think it's important that we just start with acknowledging that we're under stress, maybe we're having more emotions than we're used to having, and that these emotions are uncomfortable. So to do that, first we're going to get ourselves into a position. We're going to do a technique that's going to help us work with that. So this is called the Wayne Cook alternate. So some of you may be familiar with the Wayne Cook exercise, but we're going to be doing the alternate version, which we can do from sitting or standing position. So I'm sitting, so I'm just going to talk you through what I'm doing, and you can follow along with me. So first, I just want you to cross your ankles and just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, bring your arms out in front of you, hands back to back, and slip one into the other. Clasp your hands together and draw your hands into your chest. This is like a self-swaddling technique in a way. You know, it's kind of like if you took a baby who was crying and you wrapped her up in a blanket real tightly. It calms her down because it brings the energy in and makes her feel safe. And that's what we're doing here. We're bringing our energy in and we're helping it to feel safe. It's a way of helping the body to connect the energies in the brain better and to help you deal with the overwhelm. So being overwhelmed, because it makes you feel unsafe, it can trigger a rush of stress chemicals in your body that accentuate that fight or flight response, that panic response. And that's not a pleasant experience. At least it isn't for me, and I'm guessing it's probably not for you either. So now, as you hold this position, I want you just to keep on breathing nice and slowly. Keep your ankles crossed. Keep your hands like this. If at some point your hands get tired and you want to bring them out and switch the position around, you can do that, or you can just stay in the original position. I want to tap into a little bit of self-compassion. Why might I do that, you might ask? Well, because acknowledging how you're feeling helps your body to cope with the emotions and the thoughts that are part of the overwhelm. Acknowledging. Think of it this way. If you're already dealing with the emotion, you might as well acknowledge it. It's there. So when you acknowledge it, it has the effect of helping your body to calm down. The reason for that is triple warmer, which is your stress meridian. Remember, meridians are just energy flows that go through your body. The triple warmer meridian, which is associated with stress, when you acknowledge that you're feeling these emotions, it helps triple warmer to calm down a little bit, because triple warmer is just trying to get your attention and let you know that it's having difficulty coping. So when you acknowledge that you're feeling the emotions, which is part of the difficulty coping, triple warmer goes, oh, she hurt me. Oh, maybe I can relax a little bit. So let's move on with that. So let's get back to the emotions that you might be feeling. If you can name it, what is the emotion that is coming up the most for you these days? It might be fear, anger, panic, maybe worry or sadness or something else completely different. But I want you to tune into yourself for a moment and see if you can put your finger on what the most prevalent emotion is for you right now. Well, for me, it's worry. And there's probably lots of reasons for that. I have 4 adult children who are married and in different places, and I'm not around them, so I'm worried about them. I have elderly parents down the street that I'm responsible for, so I'm concerned about them. And there's just a current of worry in the air, and I think I'm picking up on that. So for me, it's worry. So to acknowledge this to myself, I might just say something like, it's okay to be worried. Then I'm going to talk to myself like I might talk to a good friend who's also struggling. Maybe it might be something like this. Once again, I'm making sure I've got my hands in here. I'm so sorry that you're going through this experience, talking to myself. It's really hard to feel this way. I don't know what's going to happen. And I know I can't control it. So right now, in this moment, even though I feel overwhelmed, I can still choose to take care of myself. I'm doing the best I can right now. How I feel is okay, and I know it will pass. I am okay. So just hold this position a little bit and let those words sink in for you. And then when you're ready, just unwrap yourself. Take your fingers and put them all together so they touch, and then bring your thumbs up to your forehead and take a couple more deep breaths. And then you might just want to pull that energy across your forehead. Now, when you bring your hands up like this, you're just cementing that correction into this area of the brain. This is called the third eye area, but also behind that, you have some very important glands like the pituitary and the hypothalamus. So when you put your fingers up like this, you're helping the body to deal with the stress and overwhelm response, which then has an effect on the chemical reactions in your body. So this is a very powerful position to end the exercise and allow the energy to balance and dissipate. And I've heard Donna say, by the way, that this exercise was the one that saved her marriage because it helped her to deal with the overwhelm and find her voice. And to me, that's a pretty powerful endorsement. I also find that it's extremely helpful, and I find myself using it many times during the day without even sometimes thinking about it. I look down and my ankles are crossed or my hands are like this. And you'll often find children that do this spontaneously. They love to put their hands out and tuck them in like this. So this is a good exercise to stick in your back pocket and to use it when you feel overwhelmed. You know, with so much going on right now that we can't control, I think treating yourself with kindness is even more important than ever, because that is something you can control. We can control how we talk to ourselves. We can control how we treat ourselves. We can control what we do with the stress that we're feeling. Eden Energy Medicine gives you some really powerful techniques to work with that as well. But there's the acknowledgement part that I've mentioned before that I think is a huge part of this. Now, some of our teachers have talked about the triple warmer meridian, and I mentioned it just a couple of minutes ago, and that's the energy that governs our stress response. Meridians, remember, are just energy flows that go through the body. So triple warmer is our greatest protector, but it's also our greatest reactor. Now, what that means is that triple warmer is reacting to what's happening in your environment, both your physical environment, your environment outside your body, all of this together. Triple warmer is reacting to all of that. And that's what the physical symptoms and signs that you feel inside your body, like the rapid heart rate or the sweating or the confusion, those are all triple warmers saying to you, notice me, run, scream, do whatever, do something. And when we do, that helps to dissipate some of this energy. So if you had like a saber-toothed tiger that showed up at your back door, you would open the door. You wouldn't have to figure, oh, should I run or not? You'd slam the door and take off. You'd be out of there. But because we can't really do that with the stress we're feeling now, it's going to be there whether we want it to be there or not, and we can't really run from it. We tend to not acknowledge those emotions. We tend to just sort of stuff them down. So when we do that, when we push them down and not acknowledge them, triple warmer thinks that you don't hear the message, and then it just pushes harder, which can accelerate the feelings of anxiety and panic that you're feeling and accelerate that stress response, causing more stress hormones to be released into your system. So acknowledging how you feel can make a big difference in triple warmer's ability to actually calm itself down. I like to think about it as a three-prong approach. One is acknowledging how you feel. Two is doing something to soothe or comfort yourself. And three is letting triple warmer calm down. And they kind of all work really nicely together. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some other techniques that you can use to calm yourself a little bit. This is one of my long-standing favorites. And maybe it's one that you already know and use too, but let's see where we go. So we're going to be holding the top of our chest right here over the heart, and you're also going to take your other hand and you're going to put it on your lower belly, right underneath your belly button. So you're on that lower part of your belly, and you're just going to hold this. And you're going to close your eyes and breathe. And while you're doing it, you're going to be imagining your heart sending energy through your hand and down to your lower belly. And as your heart does that, you're going to feel your lower belly expand as it fills with that heart energy that's coming down there to nurture it. In this way, you're connecting two important chakras. Now, chakras are just energy centers in the body that spin, and they're powerful energy centers, and they have a lot to do with how we process the environment and our emotions. So when we connect up these two chakras in particular, the heart chakra and the womb chakra, which is the one in the lower belly, it has a really important effect in how we nurture ourselves. The heart chakra is about love and connection. And the lower belly, the womb chakra, is about self-care. So when you connect them up like this with your hands, you're loving yourself. You're letting your heart nurture you. You're letting the energy of the heart go into the lower belly where it can spread out to the rest of the body, and you feel calm and you feel nurtured. And who needs it more than you, right? This is a technique that I like to use a lot of times in the evening when I lay down to go to sleep. I'll just put my two hands here, one over the heart and one over the lower belly, and I'll just take some nice, slow, deep breaths. And I might also talk to myself while I'm doing this. I might say something like, wow, I had a difficult day, or wow, I had a great day, whatever it was. And I would sort of give myself permission to be with whatever that feeling and emotion is, and to allow my heart to help me process that. So I might ask my heart to send energy down to my lower belly. Or maybe I might ask my heart to really handle the emotions that I'm feeling and give me some extra peace and calm. But there's something about connecting up the second and fourth chakra, the heart chakra and the womb chakra, that's really calming. It's really peaceful. It really brings you to a place inside yourself where there's a little bit of stillness, there's a little bit of nurture, there's a little bit of self-care. And a nice side effect of this as well is that this second chakra, the womb chakra, is also where your inner child lives. So this is your spontaneity, your creativity, your little joy bucket down there. So when these two connect, many times it also will ignite that feeling of joy and peacefulness and connecting into yourself in a deeper way. So I've fallen asleep like this many times, and I'll wake up an hour later and I'm still in the same position. So I think it is really deeply calming. And it's also a good one if you wake up in the middle of the night and you've got all of these swirling emotions and feelings, just to place your hands here. Something about the touch on the body, and then of course over the heart and the womb chakra, the position of the hands on the body, it is that really deeply nurturing feeling. So I encourage you to give this a try. Maybe it will help you too. Okay, so I want to move on to another technique. Actually, that one felt so good, I could have held that for a lot longer, but you know, you don't want to sit here and just watch me hold that for another 20 minutes, even though it would feel good. I want to teach you the first technique that I ever learned when I started working with Eden Energy Medicine. And it's called Spleen Radiant Circuit Activation. Now that's a kind of a long title for basically what it means is connecting up the spleen meridian to the center of your chest. So we're going to do that right now. I want you to make a 3-finger notch. That's where you bring your thumb and your first 2 fingers together, and you're going to put them on the bottom of your rib cage. Find that where the bottom of the rib cage is on the side, and you might be a little tender right there. This is spleen 21, the 21st point on the spleen meridian, and you're just going to hold the 3-finger notch right on that. With your other hand, you're going to make another 3-finger notch, and you're just going to put that in the center of your chest. Now, what this does is this allows the spleen meridian to activate its radiant circuit part of itself. Now, what does that mean? Well, the spleen meridian is your inner mom. It's the meridian that helps you process everything: food, emotions, experiences, you name it, everything. And when we're stressed, spleen gets depleted, and that makes you less able to process anything. So this technique nurtures spleen by activating its radiant circuit aspect and fills it with energy and joy. Now, if you're not familiar with radiant circuits are what Donna calls joy circuits. They're instigators of spontaneous healing in the body. And spleen is both a meridian and a radiant circuit. And this exercise reminds the energy in the spleen meridian to expand and to rejuvenate whatever needs attention in the body. So while you're holding this, you can just sort of close your eyes and calm yourself down. Take a couple of deep breaths and just allow the energy to connect. And by the way, when I'm doing any of these exercises where I'm having 2 points connect like this, in my mind, I see the connection happen. I see the energy traveling from my left hand to my right hand. And I imagine that I feel a connection. And what usually happens is I actually do feel the connection. In Chinese medicine, one of the ways they talk about energy is that imagination leads the mind and the mind leads the energy or the qi. So when you imagine something, it tells your brain it's happening, and then your brain tells the energy, and the energy goes, of course it's happening, and then it does. So it's one way to sort of lead that pathway if you're not used to working with energy and you aren't sure what it should be doing. Just do a little bit of imagination and the energies will follow where you go. Now I just took a nice deep breath, and that usually signals that the energy has moved a little bit and maybe I can do something different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to take the hand that was on my side. I'm going to bring it to the center of my chest. I'm going to take my other hand with its little 3-finger notch, and I'm going to put it over here on the bottom of my rib cage on the other side. And then I'm just going to hold it again. doing that same thing that I was before, maybe closing my eyes, taking some deep breaths, and imagining that energy flowing and connecting from both of those points. And as I'm doing this, I'm doing wonderful things for the spleen meridian, helping it to expand, helping it to rejuvenate, and making it much more able to handle the processing of all the things that are happening around me and in my life and inside my body. So this is a nice little gift to the spleen meridian, who does so many things for you. Great. So the last thing I want to focus on is about tight muscles in the shoulders and in the neck. Now, I don't know about you, but I tend to hold my stress up and through here. These muscles that are up here are connected to different emotions, and those emotions usually they relate to different meridians. So for example, there's a muscle right here on your shoulder that's a kidney meridian muscle. What that means is that it tends to be associated with the kidney meridian, and the energy from the kidney meridian as it flows through your body tends to affect how this muscle feels. So the kidney meridian has a lot to do with feeling fear. So many times when we're under fear and feeling that, our shoulder muscles can get tight, and it can just sort of register in here and feel very uncomfortable. The stomach meridian governs the muscles that go from the back of the head down to the shoulders in both the front and the back. And the out of balance emotion for stomach is worry. So when you're having worry, a lot of times the neck doesn't move real well, and there's some stiffness and discomfort in there as well. So each of these muscles that we just talked about belongs to a certain meridian in the body, and also the emotion that's associated with the meridian. And remember, meridians are just energy flows. In Chinese medicine, these muscles in the neck and shoulders are associated with worry and fear because of the meridians they're associated with. In fact, worry is related to how fear is regulated in the body because of their energetic relationship, which is kind of interesting to think about. All of our emotions have relationships to each other in Chinese medicine, and this is displayed on something we call the 5-rhythm cycle. Now, if you're an EEM practitioner, you're already familiar with this cycle and with this wheel. If you're not, it's not important. All you need to know is that emotions live on certain rhythms, and that gives us insight into how to balance them, okay? Now, worry lives on the earth rhythm, and fear lives on the water rhythm. To balance these emotions, you can hold certain points on your head, and that will actually help your sore neck and shoulders. How great is that? These points are called, that you're going to be holding on your head, are called neurovascular points because they're reflex points that connect the neurological system with the vascular system. The vascular system is your blood flow. When you hold them, they release overactivated energy and help to bring the emotions into balance. And that helps those sore muscles to release as well. So for worry, we're going to hold the earth neurovascular points, which are actually on the cheekbones. They're right here underneath the eyes. But we're going to hold them along with the main neurovascular points that are up here on the forehead, because that makes them work even more powerfully. So let's give it a try. Maybe take your thumbs and put them on your cheekbones, and then let your fingers come up here and rest on your forehead. Now I'm using super light pressure, almost like I'm not even touching, just sort of floating, maybe just barely touching, because these points like a very light pressure. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to allow that emotion of worry to be in my mind. I'm just going to let it sit there. And I'm just going to breathe. Now, I could hold these for much longer, and I probably will later on, but this is just to show you where they are and how you can hold them. So when we're finished with this Facebook Live, you can lay on the couch and you can hold these if worry is one of your issues. The other points I want to show you are for fear. And though fear is on the water rhythm. So the water rhythm points are right behind the eyes on the back of the head, kind of level with the level of the ears. So I'm going to take one hand, put it on the back of my head, right behind my eyes, and then I'm going to take the other hand and put it right up here on my forehead. And once again, very, very light pressure, almost floating over the head, barely touching. And I'm going to do the same thing I did with worry. I'm just going to allow the emotion of fear to be in my mind. And I'm going to hold these for a little while. And that might be different for every one of us. For me, I usually hold it until I forget what I'm thinking about. Sometimes I'll go, oh, I'm making a grocery list, so I guess I'm done. Other times I take a deep breath, or maybe I fall asleep, or maybe my arm just gets tired and I decide that that's enough. You get to decide how long you're going to hold them. And you'll probably want to hold them longer, a whole lot longer than what I just did. All righty, so if you want more information on working with these points, these are called elemental or rhythm neurovascular points. If you have Donna Eden's book, this one right here, Energy Medicine, all the information you need for doing this is in her book. So the muscle meridian chart, which is the chart that in the book that tells me which muscles are related to which meridians, so I know how to work with them, is on page 307. That's 307 for the muscle meridian chart. The 5 rhythm wheel, which just shows you these relationships going around the wheel and which meridians are on which of the rhythms, that is on page 227. So page 227 for the 5 rhythm wheel. And finally, the rhythm neurovascular points, those are what I was just holding, like the ones for worry that were right here, and the ones for fear that was back here. Those are on page 234. So that's on page 234. So the nice thing about this is that you can go and look these up in Donna's book, and there's other emotions to work with as well. There's the emotion of anger, there's the emotion of panic, there's the emotion of sadness and grief. All of those are in there, and the book will show you exactly where they are and how to hold them. But now you know how to hold them, you know the process, so now you just got to go find the location, and that's easy to do with this great resource that we have in Donna's book. So if your muscles are still sore, by the way, up in here after you do that, sometimes it's just a little extra stuck energy. So you can take a hairbrush, you can take a wooden spoon, you can take your fingers and just kind of tap on that, and that will help to break up any stagnant energy that remains in the shoulders. So that's it. Some of my favorite Eden Energy Medicine techniques to calm and balance your energies, combined with a dose of self-compassion and a little self-awareness. I hope you found the few pieces here that I gave you to be useful, and that they will help you along the way as we walk through this difficult time together. I'd like to leave you with this thought that it's making its way around Facebook, and it's by Timber Hawkeye, and it is, you can't calm the storm, so stop trying. What you can do is calm yourself. The storm will pass, and it will pass, and we will get through this, and we'll go back to having a life where we can be in touch with each other more physically, more closely, and we will come back with a heightened understanding of how much we mean to each other and what's really important in life. So remember, you can't calm the storm, but you can calm yourself, and the storm will pass. So if you'd like more information about Eden Energy Medicine, or you'd like the opportunity to take a free class from the Eden Method, you can do that. It's freeclass.edenmethod.com, and I encourage you to go and take advantage of this. You won't regret it. As always, I'm delighted to do anything I can to help promote Donna's work in the world, and it's been a true privilege to be with you today and to offer you these techniques. I wish you well, stay healthy, stay connected. Blessings to you.